Okay, let's get into spoilers and specific things that happened in this film. Okay, let's start with the dream sequences. So, I mean, Film School 101, don't do dream sequences in your films, unless you handle them really, really carefully. And never, ever do dream sequences within dream sequences. This film does both of those things. I think there's a total of 5 dream sequences in this film, and they're all, they get more confusing one after the other. The moment where the film truly lost me, I was entertained for like maybe the first, I don't know, half hour of this film, and then there's a dream sequence where Batman's in the desert, and like Superman's there, like takes his mask off or whatever, and then Batman starts killing everyone, like some terrorists or thugs or whatever, like with machine guns and everything, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And but then I think, okay, he's killing people, it's fine, it's in a dream sequence, whatever. And then the Geonosians from Attack of the Clones come and knock Batman out, and then he wakes up, and then there's another dream sequence, or not a dream sequence, with the Flash, and he's telling him some stuff, and yeah, like the film, that's where the film lost it for me. Like, I mean, I've been told now, a few days after seeing the film, that, that's set up for something. And I say, I don't give a shit. It's got nothing to do with the film. It's, wow, they're setting up sequels. Okay, so like I said, Batman kills people in this dream sequence, and that's cool, it's a dream sequence and everything. And, I do honestly kind of like the concept of Batman killing people. It's not a new thing or anything, he's done it in previous storylines. But then in this film, it's sort of like, he just does it. Like, so we get this dream sequence first, and it's like, okay, yeah, dream sequence. And then like a few scenes later, he's just like mowing down this group of people with a machine gun. And I'm like, wait, what? Where'd that come from? Like, I've had a long time to think about this, like Batman killing people. And in some ways I like it, in some ways I don't. But I think in this film, it really doesn't work. And this is the reason. So you know how at the beginning of the film, like we see Bruce Wayne's, Batman's reasons for hating Superman, is he's seeing the destruction in Metropolis, and at the end of Man of Steel, as he sees people dying, he loses close friends, and innocent people dying and everything, and then that's the reason he hates Superman. But then if he's going about killing people as well, then where do those motivations come from? It makes no sense. Like, if Batman and Superman are as bad as each other, then why are they fighting in the first place? It just makes no sense. Like, there are a few hints that Batman's like going to kill in this film. We see things like the Joker killed Robin, things like that. And there was always hints that this was going to be a darker Batman, with in the trailers, Batman's like branding people and stuff like that. So I don't have a problem with the darker Batman, but it felt like they needed to make it more clear that Batman was killing people and that he had reasons for killing people. I think Batman killing people is an interesting debate, or any law enforcement killing people is an interesting debate. But then in this film, it isn't a debate. He just does it now. Oh yeah, and that destruction at the end of Man of Steel, and then this film like apologises for that destruction. Yeah, they're not apologising. There's a lot more destruction at the end of this film, and it's Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman doing all of it. So yeah, that's out the window as well. Okay, I want to get into like plot holes in this film, because like I said, this film is an incoherent mess. Okay, here's one that really gets on my nerves. So Lex Luthor throws Lois Lane off a roof, and then Superman hears this, and he comes and captures her, rescues her. Cool, great, yeah. And then literally a minute later, Lex Luthor says to Superman, I've kidnapped your mum. And then Superman's like, where's she? And he actually kind of does the Christian Bale Batman voice, which is pretty funny, I thought. I don't know if they did that on purpose as a homage, but it kind of made me laugh. And yeah, the problem with this is, just a minute ago you heard Lois Lane in danger. Why couldn't you hear your mother? And then Lex Luthor shows Superman, photos of Martha kidnapped, and she's got a gag on her mouth. Oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. She's got a gag on her mouth, so Superman can't hear her. But then literally it cuts to Martha in the warehouse where she's being held captive, and she hasn't got a gag in her mouth or anything, and I'm just like, all she needs to do is call out, and then Superman can hear her and rescue her, and just things don't make sense in this film. Right, okay, so that is nitpicking, I will say that. However, Superman's motivation for fighting Batman in this film is because Lex Luthor's kidnapped his mother. And Lex Luthor's like, you have to kill Batman or I'm going to kill your mother. Like, really? That's the motivation? The trailers sort of built this film up as like, you know, reasons for them fighting each other, you know, difference in ideals, you know, Batman thinks Superman's dangerous, maybe Superman thinks Batman's going too far, you know, with the killing people and everything that's happened earlier in this film. But really, that's the motivation? Like, his mother's been kidnapped? I mean, okay. And then, what makes this worse, so Superman goes up to Batman and is like, I don't want to fight you, but I have to. And then they fight. So first of all, Superman could have simply said, you know, hey, Lex Luthor's kidnapped my mum, help me rescue her. And then Batman's like, okay. And, you know, if they'd done that and maybe Batman says, I don't care, and then they fight, that would have made a bit of sense. But then, instead, so the fight happens, you know, it's about 8 minutes of fighting, and the fight was pretty boring, I thought. The fight was generally quite boring, except for a few cool moments. But then, so Batman's about to kill Superman, you know, he's got this kryptonite spear, he's about to murder him, and, you know, he's like stood on Superman's neck. And then Superman goes, Martha. Then Batman's like, what, how do you know that name? And then, you know, Superman keeps going, Martha, Martha. And then, so it's like Batman and Superman have the same mother's name, which was pretty clever, I thought. I would have never thought of that, and, you know, thought it was a clever thing. But then it goes back to my previous point of, you know, if Batman was going to stop fighting Superman because his mother was in danger, then they didn't need to fight at all in the first place. Superman could have just gone, Lex Luthor's kidnapped my mother, help me. And then they didn't need to fight at all in the first place. Their whole conflict in the film is daft and pointless. However, this does lead to the best scene in the film, where Batman rescues Martha, Superman's mother, and yeah, it is amazing. Like, there is no denying it. Like, it is just it's the best Batman action scene ever filmed in live action. Like, it's like the fights from the Arkham Asylum games, like, you know, where Batman's like, like, it is just so good. Like, Batman's just flying around the room, taking guys out, using everything, using the floors, the walls, pipes, gadgets, launching boxes at people. It's great stuff. He also stabs a guy in the heart and blows a guy up, but, you know, I can look past that for amazingness. So another disappointing thing in this film is the wasted actors. Like, there's so many good actors in this film, and they're just, like, not given enough to work with. Like, Lawrence Fishburne does fuck all in this film. Jeremy Irons' character does nothing for the plot. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman pretty much does nothing for the plot. And Amy Adams as Lois Lane has one of the most frustrating scenes in the entire film. So, there's this kryptonite spear that Batman's going to use to kill Superman. And in the end, they stop fighting, and then Lois Lane throws the spear down like a drowned building, like down some water. You know, like, there's no reason given for this, but, you know, it kind of makes sense. Like, oh, this could kill, you know, my boyfriend. I better get rid of this. It kind of makes sense. And then literally 2 scenes later, she has to go get it back for them to now kill Doomsday with it. And I was like, okay, you know, bit of a stupid plot point, her getting rid of it. But, you know, when she was going back to get the spear, I thought, oh, okay, they're actually, like, trying to make her a character here, like, trying to make her useful part of the action. She needs to go get the thing to help them kill the bad guy. But then she starts bloody drowning in the water, and then she becomes a damsel in distress for Superman to save. And I'm just like, you were so close to making, like, an interesting character, and then you just made her a damsel in distress again. Just so frustrating. Okay, so Wonder Woman looks great in the film. Like, you know, I think everyone looks great. You know, the costumes look great, and Wonder Woman looks great as well. She has about 4 lines in the film, and is maybe in 5 or 4 scenes, but she looks great. She does take part in my least favourite scene in the film, and quite possibly the worst scene in maybe any superhero film, at least in my opinion. Like, the scene should be titled just Justice League Setup. So, Batman sends Wonder Woman an email with video files on each of the Justice League members. This is some of the laziest, like, filmmaking I've ever seen. Like, what? She receives an email? Like, I can do that right now. I was in disbelief, like, seeing this on screen. Like, it felt like I was watching Wonder Woman watch the teaser trailers for the next, like, few Justice League films. It was, I couldn't believe it. Like, I still can't believe it. You know, I mean, like, think of, like, Marvel and the Avengers, right? So they didn't, you know, make trailers in their films. They made films instead of trailers. And, you know, all those films had problems. You know, none of them were perfect films. You know, like, I thought most of them were enjoyable. But then it wasn't until they brought out the Avengers, like, 4 years after Iron Man, and then people, you know, saw the potential in this universe and everything, and see how it could work. And, you know, they'd already set up the characters with all their individual films. And guess what? Now everyone loves every Marvel film that comes out, you know, even if they're not that great. But then, like, Warner Brothers and DC have made, like, what, one Superman film, and then they just try and put, like, 8 characters in the next film. Like, what? They're like, I know this has been said over and over, but they're rushing it. Like, don't put all your eggs in one basket, you know, spread your eggs. You know, if some of them break, it's fine, you'll have these other ones that people will like. Yeah, like, I don't understand this logic of putting all your eggs in one basket and, you know, hoping for the best. Is, you know, it backfired for them. You know, maybe not in the money-making kind of way, because this film probably will make a lot of money, but then I don't know how many people will see future installments. I certainly won't. I mean, she opens an email, for real? That's the best idea you came up with? I mean, I think Warner Brothers and DC want to compete with Marvel and Disney, but they're doing it completely the wrong way. I honestly feel like with Man of Steel they were doing the right thing. I personally quite enjoyed that film. You know, not everyone loved it, but, you know, that was fine. You know, not everyone loved The Incredible Hulk or Captain America or Thor, but, you know, like, they were, you know, after a while it was understood they were building to something, and then when they got to that thing, it worked. Okay, so the big thing that happens at the end of this film, which they don't show in the trailers, is the death of Superman. I thought this was really brave and kind of cool. You know, if they had done the Justice League, you know, without Superman, it could have been, you know, a bit weird for some fans or whatever. But I thought it was a pretty brave idea and it would have been interesting to do. But then, of course, at the very end, they tease it and they show the bloody stones rising from the coffin. And yeah, he's not really dead. Easter, wow. Jesus symbolism, wow, yeah, cool. Like, I mean, it feels like that they've already done Superman stories. Like, what more is there to do? Overall, there are good things in this film, but for me, the bad overshadows the good. I probably will see a solo-directed Ben Affleck Batman film. I think there's good potential there. Ben Affleck is now my favourite live-action Batman. I probably won't see any further Justice League installments, which is sad to say, because I'd really like to. Like, I don't want to give money to average to poor films, otherwise we're just going to get average to poor films all the time. I don't, like, blame anyone for this film being bad. I don't blame Zack Snyder or anyone. You know, it takes hundreds of people to make a film, and, you know, I think it's just this clusterfuck of ideas from genuinely talented and creative people that just turn this film into a mess. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Batman vs Superman. There are things I like, but overall is less than average for me, and yeah, I'm sad I gave it money. So thanks very much for watching and listening to my thoughts on Batman vs Superman. Thanks very much. See you later.